Good afternoon, and very apologetic for the late start. Thank you so much for your patience. Uh, We'll get started. We'll get started here. Welcome to the Committee on Housing and Economic Development. While I'm getting sorted, I'll ask members to introduce themselves.
Good afternoon, I'm Mark Mallon.
Good afternoon. I'm Yusuf. I represent District 118, Par 4 land.
Hi there, my name is Rick Bennett. I serve in the state Senate and represent the good people of 14 towns in western Maine across parts of Androscoggin, Oxford, and Cumberland counties.
Representative Julia.
Hi there, I'm Cassie Julia, and I represent half of Waterville, which is House District 65.
Good evening. My name is Grayson Lochner. I represent House District 113 as part of Portland.
Good afternoon. I'm Tracy Gear. I represent House District 134, which is all of Kennebunkport and coastal Biddeford and Kennebunk, and I'm the House Chair of the committee. And I do apologize for our late start today. Thank you all for being here.
Hello again. I'm Senator Chip Curry. I represent the 26 rural coastal and island communities of Waldo County. Welcome. We're gonna this is a public hearing of the Joint Standing Committee on Housing and Economic Development for the purpose of considering nominations by the governor. And there are a number of nominations. I'm gonna let you, I'm gonna go in order. I think we're in the order on the, I'm gonna see on the sheet. Yeah, we'll be going down the order of the sheet. So again, this is the Committee on Housing and Economic Development for the purpose of considering the nomination by the governor for Mr. Marco Melendez of Brunswick. Is Mr. Marco here? Yeah, great. Okay. Otherwise, we're skipping that person to the last of Brunswick for appointment to the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority. Under the law and the joint rules of the legislature, this committee is required to hold a public hearing and to recommend a confirmation or denial of the nominee by a majority vote of the committee members present and voting. As chairs of the committee, we will then send written notice to the committee's recommendation to the president of the Senate. The committee will hear testimony from and have an opportunity to question the governor or her representative, the nominee, and any other person present who wishes to speak for or against the nomination. Persons testifying at the public hearing today are advised that the hearing is live streamed and may be seen and heard by persons watching online, and that a recording of the meeting will be archived pursuant to Title III, Section 157 of the Maine statutes, with the which requires that there be an affirmative motion to recommend confirmation of the nominee. The chair recognizes Chair Gear for the purpose of making such a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that the Joint Standing Committee on Housing and Economic Development recommend confirmation of Mr. Marco Melendez, hopefully we're getting your name correct, of Brunswick for appointment to the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority.
A copy of the statutory requirement for this position is available at the rostrum. Chair now recognizes the governor's representative for the purpose of making statements concerning the nomination.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Senator Curry, Representative Gear, and distinguished members of the committee. My name is Joe Bushy, and I'm the Director of Boards and Commissions for Governor Mills. I'm here today on behalf of the governor to speak in support of the nomination of Marco Melendez of Brunswick for appointment as a member of the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority. In the interest of brevity, I'm going to read very little of what I wrote, but you have it in front of you. Mr. Melendez is currently the Animal Welfare Facilities Manager and USDA Containment Director at Bowdoin College. He has worked at Bowdoin since 2018, and he has an extensive scientific background and an interest in land conservation and stewardship, which would make him an excellent fit on the board. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have them, but I do urge you to support his nomination.
Thank you, Mr. Bushy. Are there any questions for the governor's representative? Seeing none. Chair now recognizes Mr. Marco Melendez for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination. Welcome. I trust you've had a good tour of the facilities.
I've seen everything.
Okay,
Thank you. It's been great. Senator Curry, Representative Gear, distinguished members of the Joint Standing Committee on Housing and Economic Development. My name is Marco Melendez. I'm from Brunswick, and I'm here today to discuss with you my background and qualifications, which for me to serve on the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority, or MIRA. First, I'd like to thank Governor Mills for appointing me to serve on the Mayor Board of Trustees. It's an honor to be considered to participate in an effort that is so important to Brunswick and the greater Midcoast region. I was born and raised in Maine, actually only a couple of miles from here, but only moved to Brunswick about 18 years ago to take a position at Bowdoin College. I have a bachelor's degree in zoology from the University of New Hampshire and master's degree in biology and aquaculture from the University of Wales. Given my interest in marine biology, I sought to help Brunswick manage its coastal resources by volunteering on the Marine Resource Committee back in 2016. That led me to serve on the Rivers and Coastal Waters Commission, which I have chaired for the last 6 years. This commission helps advise the town of Brunswick on managing its coastal resources. As you can imagine, these resources are in high demand, and we need to balance the needs of private, commercial, and public recreational activities. Since 2020, I have also served on the Marebrook Watershed Steering Committee. The DEP has labeled Marebrook as an urban impaired stream. It also operates as part of our stormwater management system, which runs right through the old Naval Air Base, which we now know as Brunswick Landing, and that is what MIRA oversees. So I am familiar with some of the legacy challenges that MIRA has been dealing with. MIRA's overall purpose is to manage the transition of former base properties to create new, high-quality jobs by engaging with the private sector to stimulate the regional economy. Given all that MIRA has to do, I am pleased to see on their list of guiding principles the statement to be good stewards of the land and the environment. Being good stewards of land, water, and air can only complement the overall mission of redeveloping the former base's resources to attract businesses that will greatly benefit our local communities. I'm looking forward to the opportunity. Thank you for your consideration of my appointment today, and I'm happy to answer any questions the committee may have. Thank you.
Thank you. The bell is telling some of
Hi.
our members they have to leave, and I will see if there are any questions before you go. Excellent. Thank you. Please come back right away.
You're all set. I don't know when they're going to vote on your nomination.
Is there value in
coming for that?
It seems like something.
Well, theoretically, this committee will vote on it today. Hopefully, they're coming right back to us. Wait a few more minutes.
All right.
You can come to this, yeah, you're done with that.
But for the next week, which is
The Senate vote, you can come if you're interested.
No.
There's no need. It could be long. It could be a 2-hour wait that day too. Thank you.
We're actually able to continue because we established quorum, and we simply can't vote. And so I will ask if anyone is here that wishes to give testimony on this nominee. Is there anyone who has signed up online? Is there anyone in the room who wishes to give testimony? Okay. With that, I think we might have to, let's see. Okay. All right. All public comment having been taken, the committee will now proceed as follows. We'll review any additional written comments of the nomination that have been received by the committee. We'll vote on the nomination and notify the President of the Senate pursuant to Title III MRSA Section 157 and the joint rules. Votes must be taken within 35 days of the governor's written notice. The hearing on the Joint Standing Committee on Housing and Economic Development for Mr. Marco Melendi of Brunswick for appointment to the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority is now closed. In accordance with the law, the committee may not take the vote on this nomination sooner than 15 minutes after the close of the public hearing unless all committee members who are present agree. This time, therefore, the chair will inquire whether any member is in opposition to taking the vote. Seeing none. Pending question before the committee is that the Joint Standing Committee on Housing and Economic Development recommend to the Senate of the 132nd Legislature that the nomination of Mr. Marco Melendi of Brunswick for appointment to the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority be confirmed. In accordance with 3 MRSA Chapter 6, Section 157, with the joint rules of the 132nd Legislature, the votes will be taken by the yeas and nays. A vote of yes will be in favor of recommending confirmation. A vote of no will be against the motion to recommend confirmation. Is the committee ready for the question? Before I say that, I just want to say I'm really appreciative of Mira and Mr. Melendi for putting his name forward. We have, for the long history of Mira, we have thought of you primarily as an economic development entity, and it is. But as the last 2 years, we've really come to realize you're also stewards of a great amount of land that impacts the larger community. And so I thank you for wearing the hat of steward and bringing that perspective to Mira. Committee clerk will call. Is the committee ready for the question? Great. The committee clerk will call the roll.
Great. Representative Mingo is absent. Representative Mallon.
Yes.
Representative Mallon voting yes. Representative Golick.
Yes.
Representative Golick voting yes. Representative Youssef.
Yes.
Representative Youssef voting yes. Senator
Yes.
Bailey is absent. Senator Bennett is
Yes.
voting yes. Senator Curry.
Yes.
Senator Curry voting yes. Representative Gear.
Yes.
Representative Gear voting yes. Collmore and Walker are absent. Representative Lookner.
Yes.
Representative Lookner voting yes, and Representative Julia.
Yes.
Representative Julia voting yes. That is 2, 3, 6, 8 in favor.
8 in favor and none opposed. It is the vote of Joint Standing Committee on Housing and Economic Development that the nomination for Mr. Marco Melendi of Brunswick for appointment to the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority be confirmed. With that, that's good. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. We'll now open up the public hearing of the Joint Standing Committee on Housing and Economic Development for the purpose of considering the nomination by the governor of Ms. Monique Marie Cornett of Buxton for the appointment to the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority. Under the laws and the joint rules of the legislature, committee is required to hold the public hearing and to recommend confirmation or denial to the nominee by majority vote of the committee members present and voting. As chair of the committee, will then send the written notice to the committee's recommendation to the president of the Senate. As you heard before, the committee will hear testimony from and have an opportunity to question the governor and her representative, the nominee, and any other persons present who wish to speak for or against the nomination. Persons testifying at the public hearings are advised that we are live streamed. Pursuant to Title III, Section 157 of the main statutes, which require that there be an affirmative motion to recommend confirmation of the nominee, the chair recognizes Chair Gear for the purpose of making such a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that the Joint Standing Committee on Housing and Economic Development recommend confirmation of Ms. Monique Marie Cornett of Buxton for appointment to the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority.
Chair now recognizes Mr. Bushy for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination. Welcome back.
Thank you once again, Senator Curry, Representative Gear, and distinguished members of the committee. Again, my name is Joe Bushy, Director of Boards and Commissions for Governor Mills. Happy to be here today to speak in support of the nomination of Monique Cornett of Buxton for appointment to the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority. Monique has began her career working as a membership manager and development associate at radio stations in upstate New York and St. Louis before moving to Maine to work for Northern New England Director as a donor relations manager and later development director. Since 2024, she served as Deputy Director of Economic and Community Development for the City of Westbrook, playing a vital role in the city's ongoing economic and cultural resurgence. Her varied background in philanthropy, economic development, and community engagement will lend a valuable perspective to the authority. On behalf of Governor Mills, I'd urge you to support her nomination. If you have any questions, happy to try to answer them.
Are there any questions for the governor's representative? Seeing none. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair now recognizes Ms. Monique Marie Cornett for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination. Welcome. I hope I pronounced your name properly.
Yes, actually, I didn't hear it, but
Oh.
I'm sure it was great. I'm just handing things off.
I love it. Actually, I wasn't listening.
I was in deep conversation with Sandon. Good afternoon. Hi, everyone. Senator Chip Curry, Representative Tracy Geer, members of the Housing and Economic Development Committee. My name is Monique Cornett, and I'm the Deputy Director of Economic and Community Development for the City of Westbrook. I live in Buxton, Maine. I'm honored to be considered for appointment to the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority's Board of Trustees. If confirmed, I look forward to being a prepared, engaged, and energetic trustee. I grew up in Northern New York and moved to Maine in 2018 after living in St. Louis, California, and Toronto. My interests and professional background are quite broad. I've worked for an early stage startup at 2 public radio stations and in nonprofit fundraising before joining the city in 2024. Since joining Westbrook, I've focused on brownfield redevelopment projects and building a specialization in tax increment financing. This work really aims at unlocking public space for recreation, bringing much needed housing to Westbrook, especially in our downtown corridor, and of course, connecting businesses to opportunities to stabilize and grow in Westbrook and Maine. The common thread throughout my career is my ability to conduct high-level relationship management and community engagement. I believe the skill set and fresh perspective will be an asset to Mira. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them, and I appreciate your consideration.
Thank you very much, and thank you again for your patience.
Yes.
The chair will inquire, do any members of the committee have questions for the nominee? I had a member relayed to me by another member who couldn't be here, noting that in the conflict of interest section, well, you said you had no conflicts of interest. If you discover any, are you comfortable following the policies of Mira regarding conflicts of interest?
Yes, none to report.
Excellent. Are there any other questions? Seeing none.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Chairs will now take comments from any persons attending this hearing who wish to speak for or against this nomination. Is anyone here who wishes to speak for or against this nomination? Seeing none. All public comments having been taken, the committee will now proceed as follows. We'll review any written material and vote on the nomination and notify the President of the Senate pursuant to Title III MRSA Section 157 and joint rules. The hearing for the Joint Standing Committee on Housing and Economic Development for Ms. Monique Marie Cornett of Buxton for appointment to the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority is now closed. Does anyone object to moving right to the vote? Pending question before the committee is that the Joint Standing Committee on Housing and Economic Development recommend to the Senate of the 132nd Maine Legislature that the nomination of Ms. Monique Marie Cornett of Buxton for appointment to the Midcoast Regional Redevelopment Authority be confirmed in accordance with 3 MRSA Chapter 6, Section 157, with the joint rules of the 132nd Legislature. The votes will be taken by the yeas and nays. A vote of yes will be in favor of recommending confirmation. A vote of no will be against the motion to recommend confirmation. Is the committee ready for the question? Committee clerk will call the roll.
Representative Mellon. Chair.
Yes.
Representative Mellon voting yes. Representative Golick?
Yes.
Representative Golick voting yes. Representative Youssef?
Yes.
Representative Youssef voting yes. Senator Bennett?
Yes.
Senator Bennett voting yes. Senator Curry?
Yes.
Senator Curry voting yes. Representative Geer?
Yes.
Representative Geer voting yes. Absent. Representative Lookner?
Yes.
Representative Lookner voting yes. Representative Julia?
Yes.
Representative Julia voting yes, that's 8 in favor.
8 members of the committee having voted in the affirmative and 0 in the negative, it is the vote of the joint standing committee on House and Economic Development that the nomination of Ms. Monique Marie Cornette Buckley for appointment to the Baycoast Regional Redevelopment Authority. Thank you. Now open up the public hearing for the purpose of considering the nomination by the governor of Mr. Eric Kingsley of South Portland for appointment to the Finance Authority of Maine. Pursuant to title, let's see, seeing what I can skip. Under the laws, pursuant to Title 3, Section 157 of the Maine statutes, which requires that there be an affirmative motion to recommend confirmation of the nominee. The chair recognizes the committee chair Gear for the purpose of making such motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that the Joint Standing Committee on Housing and Economic Development recommend confirmation of Mr. Eric Kingsley of South Portland for appointment to the Finance Authority of Maine.
Copy of the statutory requirements for the there we go.
Thank you again, Senator Curry, Representative Gear, members of the committee. Again, my name is Joe Bushy, Director of Boards and Commissions for Governor Mills. Happy to be here on behalf of the governor to speak in support of the appointment, that's a typo in my testimony, of Eric Kingsley to the Finance Authority of Maine. I did lay out the description of all the board member requirements. I won't read those out to you, but Mr. Kingsley is nominated for a seat reserved for an individual knowledgeable in the field of natural resource enterprises. He's currently Vice President of Innovative Natural Resource Solutions, where he's been since 2000. The major focus of his work includes development of new markets for forest products, analysis of opportunities, and financing of forest and forest industry products. Additionally, he's the Regional Coordinator for National Forest Products Industry Trade Association and is the former Executive Director of the New Hampshire Timberland Owners Association. His extensive knowledge and experience in the forest product industry would make him an excellent addition to the board. On behalf of the governor, I urge you to support his nomination. If you have any questions, happy to answer them.
Are there any questions for Mr. Bush?
Thank you.
Chair now recognizing Mr. Eric Kingsley for the purpose of making a statement. Welcome. And my apologies for the wait.
I enjoyed my time here. I got to meet some great nominees. Maine is blessed with many wonderful people. Senator Curry, Representative Gear, distinguished members. My name's Eric Kingsley. I'm a resident of South Portland, have been since 2000, and I'm honored to be nominated by Governor Mills to serve on the Finance Authority of Maine's Board of Directors. I've got a master's in natural resource economics, and with that, I've built a career helping individuals and firms make sustainable use of forest and energy resources to create jobs, make products, and contribute to rural economies, both here in Maine and much of my practice is around the country. Through this work, I've seen how many states support to existing and emerging forest industries, and I look forward to bringing those learnings here. Since 2000, I've been a partner in my firm, Innovative Natural Resource Solutions. In this role, I've worked with existing and emerging forest industries on new manufacturing, expansion, or occasionally restructuring to face a changing market, which we've certainly seen. Through this work, I've developed a unique understanding of the role financial support can serve in making a project successful and how to do that to bring jobs and economic opportunity to rural communities. Through my work, I've developed financial tools to support small-scale renewable energy and the development thereof, worked on the construction and development of over 200 megawatts of biomass power, and I'm working to bring new industries here to Maine as of this morning. I've learned repeatedly that change brings opportunity, and I want to point out that Maine's forest products industry is ripe with opportunity at the moment. I believe my experiences both here in Maine and really around the country and a little bit globally will benefit FAME. And I'm positioned to bring a perspective to FAME. Want to thank you for considering my nomination. I'd be happy to answer any questions. And of course, I expect to fully abide by by FAME's conflict of interest rules in the event. And I'm sure over my tenure there, that will happen at some point.
Thank you very much.
Didn't mean to cut off your question, but I felt it coming, sir.
Are there any questions for committee members? Chair Gear.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thanks very much, Mr. Kingsley, for being willing to step up to this in this nomination. I'm curious, you're just such a vital experience that I know will be hugely valuable to FAME. From your perspective, just top of your head, what is Maine's top challenge when it comes to developing forest industries, forest product industries, and the top opportunity that we have that you'd like to address?
Yeah, so the top challenge is attracting capital, which FAME is uniquely positioned to help support. And Maine forest industries are a little ahead of everyone else in understanding this, but our industry is built on Maine's industry is built on the paper industry and the lumber industry, which are important, are going to remain. I work with them every day. They're critical. We have a new industry that's coming that is built upon replacing things we currently make from oil. We're at the very beginning of that. It's a huge opportunity. It's built upon our existing foundation. Maine is fortunate that we're a little ahead of some other states in coming to that realization. And I look forward to serving on Maine to help, to FAME to help make that happen.
Well, FAME is an incredibly important part of our ecosystem for economic development and innovation. So I really appreciate your willingness to serve.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Thank you.
Seeing none, thank you very much. Is there anyone else here that wishes to give testimony in support of this nominee? Welcome, Ms.
Right. I'll wait for the, go around for just a second. Senator Curry, Representative Geer, distinguished members of the Joint Standing Committee on Housing and Economic Development. My name is Carl Smello. I am the Chief Executive Officer over the Finance Authority of Maine, and I'm here in support of Eric Kingsley's nomination. As Eric indicated, he has 25 years of distinguished experience in this industry, and he is acknowledged as an expert in his field and is by both the industry and governmental entities that routinely seek his counsel and guidance. As we've discussed, the Maine's forest products industry contributes $8 billion annually to the Maine economy. It is undergoing significant transformation, as we just heard from the nominee. FAME plays a crucial role in offering financing and economic development support for the Maine forest products industry. As a board member, Eric will share his expertise, perspective, and judgment with the FAME team, helping us deliver improved financing and development solutions for these essential Maine industries. In short, Eric would be an invaluable addition to the FAME Board of Directors. Thank you for your consideration of his nomination. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Are there any questions for Mr. Mello? See none. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Is there anyone else here that wishes to give testimony and related to this nominee? Seeing none. All public comments having been taken, the committee will now proceed as follows. We'll review any additional written comments on the nomination that have been received. Votes on the nomination and we'll vote on the nomination, notify the President of the Senate pursuant to Title III MRSA Section 157 and the joint rules. The hearing for the Joint Standing Committee on Housing and Economic Development for Mr. Eric Kingsley of South Portland for appointment to the Finance Authority of Maine is now closed. Does any member object to taking the vote immediately? Seeing none, The pending question for the committee is that the Joint Standing Committee on Housing and Economic Development recommend to the Senate of the 132nd Maine Legislature that the nomination for Mr. Eric Kingsley of South Portland for appointment to the Finance Authority of Maine be confirmed. In accordance with 3 MRSA Chapter 6, Section 157, with the joint rules of the 132nd Legislature, the votes will be taken by the yeas and nays. Vote of yes will be in favor of recommending confirmation. A vote of no will be against the motion to recommend confirmation. Is the committee ready for the question? Committee clerk will call the roll.
Representative Mallon,
Yes.
Representative Mallon voting yes. Representative Golek,
Yes.
Representative Golek voting yes. Representative Youssef,
Yes.
Representative Youssef voting yes. Senator Bennett,
Yes.
Senator Bennett voting yes. Senator Curry,
Yes.
Senator Curry voting yes. Representative Gear,
Yes.
Representative Gear voting yes. Representative Lookner,
Yes.
Representative Lookner voting yes. Representative Julia,
Representative. Oh,
Yes.
Representative Julia voting yes, and Representative Eater.
like to vote, or would you like to step out?
Okay. 8 in favor.
8 members of the committee have voted against, 0 in the negative. It is the vote of the Joint Standing Committee on Housing and Economic Development. That's the nomination of Mr. Eric Kingsley of South Portland. We're not appointed to the Finance Authority Committee. We confirm. Thank you so much. We're going to move ahead. We're going to skip over Ms. Hoffman because there are a couple of the folks who are in the room. And we will begin with Mr. Frederick Onion of Wayne. So we'll start, we'll open the public hearing on the Joint Standing Committee of Housing and Economic Development for the purpose of considering the nomination by the governor, Mr. Frederick Onion of Wayne, for reappointment to the Finance Authority of Maine. I think I've said all these other things that need to be said already. Pursuant to Title III, Section 157 of the Maine statutes, which requires that there be an affirmative motion to recommend confirmation of the nominee, the chair recognizes Senator Bennett for the purpose of making such a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that the Joint Standing Committee on Housing and Economic Development recommend confirmation of Mr. Frederick A. Onion of Wayne for reappointment to the Finance Authority of Maine.
The copy of the statutory requirements for this position are available at the rostrum. The chair now recognizes Mr. Bushy for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination.
Thank you, Senator Curry and Senator Bennett. Other esteemed members of the committee, wherever they may be. My name is Joe Bushy, and I'm the Director of Boards and Commissions for Governor Mills. Pleased to be here on behalf of the governor to speak in support of the reappointment of Frederick Onion of Wayne to the Finance Authority of Maine. Mr. Onion is in an at-large seat at the moment, and he has an extensive business experience as co-founder of a tech workforce company, owner-operator of a solar company, and investor in multiple businesses, including Go Labs, Kinotech, Blue Trace, Tanbark, and Vetro FiberMap. Additionally, he is a co-founder and president of the Onion Family Foundation, whose mission is to encourage conservation and stewardship of the natural environment and promote music and arts in the state. They currently grant over $6 million per year to Maine nonprofits. Mr. Onion's extensive experience and commitment to service has been a valuable addition to the board. On behalf of Governor Mills, I urge you to support his reappointment. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Are there any questions for Mr. Bushy? Chair now recognizes Mr. Frederick A. Onion for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination. Welcome and thank you very much for your patience.
My pleasure. Senator Curry, Senator Bennett, members of the committee. I appreciate the nomination from the governor for position on the FAME board. I've served for the last 4 years, and I find it a really interesting position to serve on, given my entrepreneurial background as well as my nonprofit background. I find that FAME kind of fits in the middle. We have organizations that are not necessarily going to become the next billion-dollar companies, but we're trying to get them as far as we can. And it's an interesting blend between that and the nonprofit world. So I don't have much more to say beyond that, but I'm happy to continue serving this next term and look forward to your support.
Thank you. I do have a couple questions. With your background, you have interesting background in projects that you're involved in and invest in. What are, from your perspective, the greatest challenges that Maine is facing in terms of economic development and unlocking our potential?
Yeah, well, I would second the previous nominations observation that capital is a huge issue for Maine, trying to get larger amounts of capital to companies that are trying to grow. I do see some promise in that area. I'm actually part of an LP fund that's just being started in Portland, and they're really trying to focus on raising larger dollars to fund Series A and Series B rounds for companies, because that seems to be a big hole in the investment infrastructure that we have in the state right now. So I see promise there, but I think it's still an uphill battle. We need to let people know that Maine is a viable place to do business and that we can bring capital to those businesses.
Are there any tools at FAME that you wish FAME had that you've seen in other states?
I wouldn't say there are any tools specifically. I think the relationships FAME has with the lending organizations is critical for making things work the way they do. And I also know that we are currently under a rebuild of the technical infrastructure at FAME, which I think is going to be really useful once it is implemented. It's going to consolidate all of the kind of piecemeal projects that have been happening over the last decade into a much more unified platform. So I'm looking forward to seeing that take shape.
Okay, thank you. Are there any further questions for the nominee? And welcome back, committee members. Thank you very much. Chair will no, we'll skip over that. Chair will now take comments from persons attending this hearing who wish to speak for or against the nomination. Is there anyone? Welcome back, Mr. Mello.
Thank you. Senator Geer, Representative Geer, Senator Curry.
It's Freaky Friday.
Don't send me to the house. That's scary.
Distinguished members of the committee. Again, my name is Carlos Mello. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Finance Authority of Maine. I am here in support of Fritz Onion to reappointment for the FAME Board of Directors. As you heard from his background, he is the founder and director of the Onion Foundation. He is also the co-founder of Pluralsight, a technology workforce development company, and currently serves as a mentor at the founder residency program at Rue Institute. He has made significant contributions to the FAME board and is currently chairing the business committee. And he regularly convenes and meets with other fellow board members, and his expertise is deeply appreciated. Fritz has got a unique background, as we've talked about, both in entrepreneurial background, but also in mentorship, workforce development, and philanthropy. That unique combination provides a level of support that is essential as we consider both building the workforce and the economy of the state of Maine. And therefore, we are very much in favor of his reappointment to the board. Are there any questions for me?
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for Mr. Mello? Seeing none. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that wishes to give testimony for or against this nominee? All public comment having been taken, the committee will now proceed as follows. We'll review any written material and we'll vote on the nomination and notify the President of the Senate pursuant to Title III MRSA Section 157 of the Joint Rules. The hearing on the Joint Standing Committee on Housing and Economic Development for Mr. Frederick Fritz Onion of Wayne for reappointment to the Finance Authority of Maine is now closed. Is anyone opposed to taking the vote immediately? Pending question before the committee is that the Joint Standing Committee on Housing and Economic Development recommends to the Senate of the 132nd Maine Legislature that the nomination for Mr. Frederick Fritz Onion of Wayne for reappointment to the Finance Authority of Maine be confirmed in accordance with 3 MRSA Chapter 6, Section 157. With the joint rules of the 132nd Legislature, the votes will be taken by the yeas and nays. The vote of yes will be in favor of recommending confirmation. A vote of no will be against the motion to recommend confirmation. Is the committee ready for the question? Committee clerk will call the roll.
Representative Mallon,
Yes.
Representative Mallon voting yes. Representative Golek,
Yes.
Representative Golek voting yes. Representative Youssef,
Yes.
Representative Youssef voting yes. Senator Bennett.
Yes.
Senator Bennett voting yes. Senator Curry.
Yes.
Senator Curry voting yes. Representative Gear.
Yes.
Representative Gear voting yes. Representative Lookner.
Yes.
Representative Lookner voting yes, and Representative Julia.
Yes.
Representative Julia voting yes. That's 8 in favor.
8 members of the committee and 0 in the negative. For the Joint Standing Committee on Housing and Economic Development, that the nomination of Mr. Frederick Fritz Onion of Wayne for reappointment to the Finance Authority of Maine be confirmed.
Let's see. We're about to find out. Texting like. Oh, sorry. There. There he is.
We'll now open up the public hearing of the Joint Standing Committee on Housing and Economic Development for the purpose of considering the nomination by the governor of Dr. Stephen C. Shannon, PO MPH of Biddeford, for a reappointment to the Finance Authority of Maine. Under the law and the joint rules of the legislature, the committee is required to hold this public hearing to recommend confirmation or denial of the nominee by majority vote of the committee members present and voting. As chairs of the committee, we will then send written notice to the committee's recommendation to the president of the Senate. The committee will hear testimony from and have an opportunity to question the governor and her representative, the nominee, and any other persons present who wish to speak for or against the nomination. Pursuant to Title III, Section 157 of the Maine statutes, which require that there be an affirmative motion to recommend confirmation of the nominee, the chair recognizes Chair Gear for the purpose of making such a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that the Joint Standing Committee on Housing and Economic Development recommend confirmation of Dr. Stephen C. Shannon, DO, MPH, and my esteemed constituent of Biddeford for reappointment to the Finance Authority of Maine.
A copy of the statutory requirements for this position is available at the rostrum. Chair now recognizes Mr. Bushy for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination.
Thank you again, Senator Curry, Representative Gear, esteemed members of the committee. Again, my name is Joe Bushy, Director of Boards and Commissions for the Governor. I'm happy to be here on behalf of the governor to speak in support of the nomination of Stephen Shannon Biddeford for reappointment to the Finance Authority of Maine. Dr. Shannon serves in a seat designated for someone knowledgeable in the field of higher education. He holds a BA and MA from the University of Maryland, a doctorate in osteopathic medicine from the University of New England, and an MPH from Harvard's School of Public Health, and numerous honorary degrees. After receiving his DO from the University of New England, he began working as a physician in Maine and later returned to the university as a professor in the College of Osteopathic Medicine, as well as serving 11 years as dean and 8 years as vice president of health services. Now retired, he's president emeritus of the American Association of Colleges of Osteopathic Medicine. Dr. Shannon's extensive experience in higher education has made him a valuable addition to the board. On behalf of the governor, I would urge you to support his nomination for reappointment. If you have any questions, happy to answer them.
Are there any questions for committee members? Seeing none. Thank you very much. The chair now recognizes Dr. Stephen C. Shannon, DO, MPH, for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination. Welcome and thank you for your patience, even virtually.
Thank you very much, Senator Curry and
Senator Bennett.
Senator Bennett. I'm very pleased to be here. Of course, I'm honored to have been nominated by Governor Mills for reappointment to the Finance Authority of Maine Board of Directors. You've heard some about my background, so I won't repeat things that have already in the statement that I submitted. I will just mention a few things. I've lived in Maine now for 47 years. My wife and I moved here from Maryland. We've raised two daughters here, now three granddaughters who live close by in Kennebunkport. And we're very pleased to have seen Maine come a long way in the almost 50 years that we've been here. We live in coastal Biddeford and have a small Icelandic sheep farm, as well as enjoy a camp up in Upper Sislodopsis Lake in Lakeville, Maine. I use my education and training and practice medicine and public health in Maine, both in a number of situations, ending, as you heard, as Dean at the University of New England and Vice President for Health Services before I went to Washington, D.C. for 13 years and served as the President and CEO of the American Association of Colleges of Osteopathic Medicine. All that time, I was based in Maine, though, and commuted back and forth for 13 years up here. Retired now for several years. I serve as a member of the University of New England's Board of Trustees and a member of the Board of Seaglass Performing Arts. I was confirmed to Fame Board in 2022, and on that board, I also serve as chair of the Education Committee and as a Fame representative to the Advisory Committee on Education and Savings. Throughout the period I've been there, I've always been impressed with the quality and dedication of the Fame staff, the seriousness of the Fame board, and the importance of the mission to enrich business and educational outcomes through relevant, timely financial support of Maine's people. I hope to continue my service towards that mission, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from committee members? I think I will ask a broad question. This is pretty tumultuous time in higher education and higher education funding, both nationally and in the state. In the state, we've had the implementation of the free community college, and we've also, and nationally, we've had changes around Pell Grant, all of which impacts Fame's role in supporting educational funding. I think also of the efforts Fame has done in terms of doctors that are, I want to say Doctors Without Borders. That is not it.
Doctors for Maine's Future, maybe.
Yeah, the Doctors for Maine's Future. Thank you. And other, kind of sector specific programs. Looking out, 5-10 years from now, what are you seeing trends? Are you seeing in terms of college funding, higher education funding? Are you seeing threats on the horizon, or are you seeing opportunities?
Well, whenever there's threats, there's also opportunities, and that's the way I like to think about it. But there certainly are threats because the funding is somewhat tenuous and more expensive for many students, and that's one of the things we try to focus on in Fame is creative ways to expand opportunities for students in different ways to come up with funding. And I think that the Fame, what's been interesting is the Fame staff has been working with the educational institutions in the state to think about different ways to go about funding, as well as, of course, making clear what our interest is with the legislature and other bodies that provide funding for education. And I think, from where I sit at the University of New England, I understand the situation that students are in when they're trying, all levels of students, both undergraduates and through the graduate students and the medical students, when they're trying to see a life funding their education, whether they're going through public or private directions. So it's a very difficult period, but at the same time, there's new thoughts about what education means, what careers are needed, what education is needed for those careers, and how to credential the folks. So maybe it's not always graduate degrees, maybe it's certificates and specific types of training needed for careers that are going to be changing as we go forward, because we're going to be needing to educate a population and a workforce continuously as our economy changes. Maine's in a great place because people want to be here, and there's a lot of smart people that want to see the economy expand. And so I think there's certainly challenges we face, especially over the next few years, but there's kind of light at the end of the tunnel if we play it right.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Are there other questions for the nominee? Seeing none, thank you. Chair will now take comments from persons attending the hearing who wish to speak for or against this nomination. Welcome back, Mr. Mello.
Senator Curry, distinguished members of the Senate Committee, my name is Carlos Paulo. I'm Chief Executive Officer of the bank. Steve Shannon has made significant contributions to the same board of directors. He serves in two committees.
Your mic needs.
Mr. Mello, if you could turn your, thank you.
Sorry about that. You don't want me, do you want me to start over or no? Just right where I am? Yeah. Perfect. So Steve has made significant contributions to the same board of directors, serves as in two key committees. He's the chair of the Education Committee, as well as Advisory Committee on Education Savings, as we commented. And that committee provides recommendations and decisions towards approving higher education initiatives, including Maine's Education Savings Plan, Next Gen 529. Steve's extensive experience in both medicine and higher education make him an exceptional member of our board, and he is acutely aware of the financing and other challenges facing rural communities and rural health. And because of that, we wish to have him stay on the board. And so I wish you to strongly consider his nomination. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mello. Are there other questions? Any questions for Mr. Mello? Seeing none. Is there anyone else that wishes to give testimony on for or against this nominee? All public comment having been taken, the committee will now proceed as follows. We'll review any written material, comments on the nomination that have been received by the committee. We'll vote on the nomination and notify the President of the Senate pursuant to Title III MRSA Section 157 of the Joint Rules. Votes must be taken within 35 days of the governor's written notice. The hearing on the Joint Standing Committee on Housing and Economic Development for Dr. Stephen C. Shannon, DO-MPH of Biddeford for appointment for reappointment to the Finance Authority of Maine is now closed. In accordance with the law, the committee may not take the vote sooner than 15 minutes. Does anyone object to taking the vote immediately? Thank you. The pending question before the committee is that the Joint Standing Committee on Housing and Economic Development recommend to the Senate of the 132nd Maine Legislature that the nomination for Dr. Stephen C. Shannon, DO-MPH of Biddeford for reappointment to the Finance Authority of Maine be confirmed. In accordance with 3 MRSA Chapter 6, Section 157 of the Joint Rules of the 132nd Legislature, votes will be taken by the yeas and nays. A vote of yes will be in favor of recommending confirmation. A vote of no will be against the motion to recommend confirmation. Is the committee ready for the question? The committee clerk will call the roll.
Representative Mallon,
Yes.
Representative Mallon voting yes. Representative Golek,
Yes.
Representative Golick voting yes. Representative Youssef.
Yes.
Representative Youssef voting yes. Senator Bennett.
Yes.
Senator Bennett voting yes. Senator Curry.
Yes.
Senator Curry voting yes. Representative Gear.
With deep thanks, and sorry to have missed your testimony, Steve, but wanted to extend my deep thanks for your service, both at FAME and of course at UNE and in our community. An enthusiastic yes.
Representative Gear voting yes. Representative Lookner.
Yes.
Representative Lookner voting yes, and Representative Julia.
Yes.
Representative Julia voting yes. That's 8 in favor.
With 8 members of the committee having voted in the affirmative, 1 with a very enthusiastic affirmative. Others would have wished to have done that as well. 8 members of the committee having voted in the affirmative and 0 in the negative. It is the vote of the Joint Standing Committee on Housing and Economic Development that the nomination of Dr. Stephen C. Shannon Dio, MPH of Biddeford for reappointment to the Finance Authority of Maine be confirmed. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have 1 more. All right, we have the last one to do. We have 1 more to do. Thank you.
Oh, it's on the right side, there's a post.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Or it's broken.
Just throw a chair through it.
There we go.
Yeah, actually, I think the heat's on too.
We'll now open the public hearing for the Joint Standing Committee on Housing and Economic Development for the purpose of considering the nomination by the governor, Ms. Jean Hoffman of Peaks Island, for reappointment to the Finance Authority of Maine. Pursuant to Title III, Section 157 of the Maine statutes, which requires there be an affirmative motion to recommend confirmation of the nominee, the chair recognizes Senator Bennett for the purpose of making such a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that the Joint Standing Committee on Housing and Economic Development recommend the confirmation of Ms. Jean Hoffman of Peaks Island for reappointment to the Finance Authority of Maine.
A copy of the statutory requirements is for this position is available at the rostrum. Chair now recognizes Mr. Bushy for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination.
Thank you again, Senator Curry, Representative Gear, Senator Bennett, esteemed members of the Joint Standing Committee on Housing and Economic Development. My name is Joe Bushy. I'm the Director of Boards and Commissions for Governor Mills. I'm pleased to be here on behalf of the governor to speak in support of the reappointment of Jean Hoffman of Peaks Island to the Finance Authority of Maine. Ms. Hoffman serves in an undesignated at-large seat. She's currently an independent investor and serves on the board of directors of a number of companies. She's founded and sold 2 successful international businesses, and her extensive experience in international business and finance has made her a valuable addition to the board. On behalf of Governor Mills, I urge you to support her nomination. Be happy to answer any questions you might have. And thank you for hearing her nomination without her being here.
Thank you very much. I am aware she was available at the scheduled time, and we're all adjusting to that. Chair would ask if Senator Bennett has any questions for at this time. No.
Maybe I do, but I can't. No, I do. I just want to know for the record that Ms. Hoffman did put forward testimony, which I found amazing, actually. I'll just say that with the rest of the nominees the governor's put forward today. I congratulate you, Mr. Bush, and your team and the governor for putting forward some superb people to these jobs, which are often unheralded. And are, you know, we need to find the best people for them. So I appreciate that. And I just say that with her absence that that it's regrettable the legislative sessions schedules have interfered, but it shouldn't slow her down with her remarkable background.
Great, thank you. I do appreciate that. It's always a interesting process to find folks and happy to find some good nominees.
Chair now recognizes Mr. Norbert, Bill Norbert, for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination. I believe you're prepared to read her statement.
Yes, thank you, Senator Curry, Senator Bennett, absent members. Yes, I am Bill Norbert and from the Finance Authority of Maine. And as you heard, Ms. Hoffman sends her apologies. She did request that I summarize her statement, and she appreciates your indulgence. My name is Gene Hoffman. I'm a resident of Peaks Island, honored to have been nominated by the governor to serve a second term on FAME's board. By way of background, I grew up in Washington, D.C., daughter of a children's librarian, born on a farm, and a journalist, both of whom had scrimped to attend public universities in state, only one of whom managed to get her degree. I raised both my kids on Peaks Island. And they've done very well. If you have our testimony in front of you, which I hope you do, there are more details, but I will summarize the essential portions of this. I came to Maine to attend Bowdoin College in 1975. My daughter graduated from there as well. I have built two successful companies, as you've heard, from the ground up in Maine. My first, Newport Strategies, was an early healthcare analytics company founded in the corner of my tiny apartment in Brunswick in 1990. I sold Newport, then based in Portland in 2004, to Thomson Reuters. All of my team stayed with Thomson, and they kept the office in Portland for 2 decades. After selling Newport, I wanted to build a larger company and knew I'd need to raise capital and learn to deal with investors. I founded Putney in 2006 and built it into the largest generic drug company for pets in America, selling affordable FDA-approved prescription medications for dogs and cats. I was fortunate to recruit an incredible team of people at Putney, almost all of them still excelling in and contributing to our great state. In 2016, we sold the company to Dechra, a public UK-listed veterinary company. Our institutional investors got a 4 times return. The Portland office remains a key location for Dechra. Since the sale of Putney, I have served on various boards of directors. In addition to the FAME board, I'm currently treasurer and finance committee chair of the board of Casco Bay Lines Island Transit District, an elected position. I also serve on the board of MedRhythms, a Portland-based early commercial stage medical device company with prescription products cleared by FDA to treat walking issues for patients with stroke and Parkinson's disease. Lastly, I'm a member of the board of Chanel, a generic drug manufacturer based in Dublin, Ireland. It has been both a pleasure and a privilege to serve on the FAME board. I'm honored to work with smart colleagues, especially Bill Norbert, representing I'm sorry, that was
Objection, objection.
especially, it's incredible. Especially representing different industry sectors, government and nonprofits, including both traditional Maine industries and important contributors to our economy, such as healthcare. I believe in the mission of FAME, including both education and economic development, to support and build our state for the future. I believe a copy of my biography has been provided to you, and thank you for your consideration of my nomination.
Thank you. Are there questions for Mr. Norbert? Seeing none. Thank you very much. Chair will now take comments for persons attending who wish to speak for or against the nomination. Welcome, Mr. Mello.
Thank you. thank you all for the wonderful support that you've provided all four of our nominees today. You heard extensively about Jean's background, so I will only just to say that she has been an incredible member of the FAME board, and she has extensive financial and management experience that has made her invaluable to myself and my team. I want to thank the governor. I want to thank yourselves. We are blessed at FAME to have an exceptional board, and it's because of you. So I really wish to thank you for that.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Mello? Seeing none. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who is here who wishes to give testimony for or against this nominee? All public comments having been taken, the committee will now proceed as follows. We'll review any additional written comments on the nomination that have been received by the committee. We'll vote on the nomination and notify the President of the Senate pursuant to Title III, MRSA Section 157 and the joint rules. Votes must be taken within 35 days of the day of the governor's written notice. The hearing on the Joint Standing Committee on Housing and Economic Development for Ms. Jean Hoffman of Peaks Island for reappointment to the Finance Authority of Maine is now closed. Does anyone object to taking the vote immediately? Seeing no objections, the pending question before the committee is that the Joint Standing Committee on Housing and Economic Development recommend to the Senate of the 132nd Maine Legislature that the nomination of Ms. Jean Hoffman of Peaks Island for reappointment to the Finance Authority of Maine be confirmed. In accordance with 3 MRSA Chapter 6, Section 157, and with the joint rules of the 132nd Legislature, the votes will be taken by the yeas and nays. A vote of yes will be in favor of recommending confirmation. A vote of no will be against the motion to recommend confirmation. Is the committee ready for the question? Committee clerk will call the roll.
Representative Golek.
Yes.
Representative Golek voting yes. Representative Youssef.
Yes.
Representative Youssef voting yes. Senator Bennett.
Yes.
Senator Bennett voting yes. Senator Curry.
Yes.
Senator Curry voting yes. Representative Gear.
Yes.
Representative Gear voting yes. Representative Lookner.
Yes.
Representative Lookner voting yes. Representative Eater.
Yes.
Representative Eater voting yes. That's 7 in favor.
Excuse me, with 7 members of the committee having voted in the affirmative and 0 in the negative, it is the vote of the Joint Standing Committee on Housing and Economic Development for the nomination of Ms. Jean Hoffman of Peaks Island for reappointment to the Finance Authority of Maine be confirmed. Thank you. Thank you all very much. We're going to take a short break.
Down below. She's removing the whole thing.
Sela, can you help with? Thank you. We're going to. Oh, I just wanted to make sure that the vote was right. It was a while ago. That's all. Yeah, yeah. I didn't remember you voting that way, and so I was like, oh, maybe it was an error. Yeah. Welcome back, everybody. We're making plans on the run as our schedule has been adjusted today. I'll ask our analysts to come forward. We have to give you transparency on this. We have a number of language reviews that I think will take some detail working through. We have the bills that remain are big complex bills, and so they have a lot of stuff in them. And so what I'm asking for folks to do today is to be able to hand out all of the language reviews. And then we have requested and received a verbal thumbs up from our presiding officers to meet on Tuesday for final language review. With the goal that over the weekend, people are really kind of going through each of the bills to make sure that that is what we recall having voted on. And sometimes, and I want to say this very respectfully to our analysts, I realize there are times that we put in and we will verbalize amendments that can be that require questions afterwards. And so I want to be thankful for them, but also like as we work through all the details to make sure we're getting it proper. So with that, I will ask to hand those out and then we will adjourn. Is there anything that you need to have happen other than that today? I'll ask our analyst. I'm hearing the bell too. So everyone, yes, Chair Gear.
And I also just want to make sure we also have at least one additional committee letter that was part of 2229. I want to make sure that was going to be part of our language review as well.
I will make sure it's there. It's not in this packet.
Awesome. Great. Thank you very much. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor? All right.
House members, run back upstairs.
Yes.
Thank
you.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
No, I have a couple more to do.
Do you need?
Oh, everybody, committee members,
Swing back behind you.
there are more handouts that Stanley's gonna put at your spot, so just make sure to swing back.
The amendment on the, that
Here,
title
let's get up and
section.
vote and then come back down if we
From
need.
the fiscal note avenue,
Okay.
and we're comfortable with it.
Okay.
So,
All right,
we'll be
great.
back on Tuesday, but
Okay,
at
you're
least-
comfortable with did it have much of a fiscal note for you? What did it
I don't
have?
think so, but they ask us.
Okay,
if-
okay, great.
So they like send the language over. even if
Great.
It's in draft forms.
All right, super.
As is, we're
You're good.
okay with it.
Okay,
We'll be back
great.
Here Tuesday.
All right.
If people want to that online.
Excellent.
Cool.